your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Hello everybody, Brian Engelman with the New American Media. We are here at Politicon in Los Angeles, California. And I'm here with David Webb. David, nice to meet you, sir. All right, so what brought you out to Politicon?
Well, they called, I answered.
Perfect.
And I couldn't resist, because the idea, which I really like, is getting people engaged in politics, or at least issues. Yeah, it's Comic-Con for politics, and it's all the things that movies and screenings.
Not as many cosplayers, though.
Not
as many dress up
yet.
yet.
I've only seen a few.
Yet.
One tri-cornered hat, and maybe here's the Mario Brothers. You see that at every convention.
Right.
But the idea that we can get all these different aspects of politics and thought and cultural and societal things together in a room, we've got to get people engaged in what's going on in the world around them. Whether I agree or disagree with them is not the issue. And like I always say, do you at least understand why you are where you are?
Right. Yeah, and you can always tell when you talk with someone and they go zombie face on you, and they go into the talking points either from O'Reilly or Maddow, and you just want to shake them.
Yeah,
now, what do you
stop
think?
and
I heard that, gotcha. But what do you think if we veer off of the script? This event, there's some right, there's some left, there's I've given up in between.
There's the top, the bottom. But you know what you talk about the script. So, for instance, one of the things I like to do, whether it's radio or television, is think about what the person who's watching or listening gets out of it.
Right.
So my advice to everyone out there, leave something, bring something to the table, do your homework. Yeah, we do TV in 4-minute blocks and 7-minute blocks.
But you got to prep for that.
You can do a lot. Yeah, you can spend an hour getting ready for a block. Yeah. Fortunately, I have a nice brain room at Fox, and we do the research. I do my research. They help if needed.
Right.
But really, you've got to come in there when you leave that set, when that segment's over. Does the person watching go, you know what, I have a new train of thought. I have something to think about now, or I learned something new. That's really what this is about.
I just saw a meme, and by the way, I'm so excited that 2016 is the first official meme election.
Hey.
They've been fantastic. And I saw one, it was, it said something like, explain the difference between this and this, and at the top it was ISIS smashing artifacts from some ancient city, Palermo or whatever it was, and then at the bottom it was removing the 10 Commandments in the middle of the night that happened a couple of days ago. And it's like, what's the difference? And it just, the way it was phrased and the way it got me thinking about terrorism and then bleeding church and state, like I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is the point of that meme, because I'm thinking 9 different things.
So here's the point. For me, it's infographics, memes, communication.
Right.
What's behind that has to be at least a point that provokes thought and honest thought. We've got to be careful in that, and it's kind of like the advent of new media and the internet. There were a lot of websites, lots of blogs out there, and after a while you saw some fall away, you saw some stay, for a variety of reasons, but the ones that people trust are the ones that gave you something that had a foundation. Great thing about the internet, you can go and you can check something.
Always verify.
And the bad thing about the internet is you can go and check just about everything. So you've got to find that path through. And in this day, the tablet, the smartphone, the computer, you name it, we've got access to information. The memes and the infographics are great. They work because they get your attention to something. Sometimes there are memes people make of things I say, and I look at it and I see the response to it. And all I ask is that if someone does that out there for an issue, something they're passionate about, do it from a point of honesty.
That's a fantastic point. I was talking with Ben Swan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. I think he was the only person to really ask President Obama or candidate Obama real questions last time through in Ohio. But we talked about it, and he was saying truth, honesty, and the ability for our stuff to withstand fact-checking, that's the only currency we have. Yeah. We could be a flash in the pan, we could be bombastic, we could be all over the top, the Howard Stern, the shock jock kind of thing.
Right.
That's fine. But if what you're putting out there consistently doesn't meet the smell test, I unfollow sites, I stop retweeting things, and I go, this is suspect. Now they're only 50% accurate. It might ping on my radar from them, but I can't trust them until I confirm it from a real outlet.
And that's one of the hardest things to get back. Think about it, whether it's a relationship or a relationship with a news source, you've got to have that trust. If you lose that trust, if you lose that integrity, when politicians lose it, how do they get it back? When a person loses it with someone how do you get it back? You always have that question. I work harder, and I encourage people to work harder on that alone. None of us are perfect. But I kind of learned something from my parents that sticks with me.
Right.
Learn what you're talking about. Speak from a point of knowing the facts as best you can. You have a better chance of being right. And if you're wrong, if somebody makes an argument and they bring me the facts and I realize that I was off or I'm wrong outright, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, let me correct the record. You're absolutely correct, or this is more nuanced, or maybe there are other angles, other facets to this.
Yeah, and it's different from, you know, what they say, flip-flopping on an issue, just complete 180, and then you see where the donors are coming from. And,
you know what really,
but we're constantly, tell me what pisses you off, Dave.
Why is it that some people are allowed to evolve on issues and others are not?
Explain.
Okay, largely, I call it the liberal versus conservative brain, not Republican versus Democrat. Liberal versus conservative brain. The liberal way of thinking oftentimes is that they're allowed to evolve because it is magnificent and magnanimous.
A butterfly emerging from a cocoon.
But if someone who has a more conservative-minded way of thinking, again, not a Republican, liberal brain, conservative brain, says, you know what, I've thought about this, I've now got new facts, I've got new ways of thinking about this.
One of my family members and got me thinking or whatever.
So I've evolved on this issue to the more complex issue, or maybe I've changed my mind. Then all of a sudden you're attacked as flip-flopping.
Yeah.
We've got to be careful of that. And frankly, we have to hit back. Somebody comes at you with it and you've actually evolved on an issue, make your case and stand by it.
And I don't view that as a sign of intellectual weakness.
It's actually intellectual honesty. It's actually intellectual honesty.
And strength.
Come on. We grow. I'm a little older than you. I got a few years on you. Over the years, I had certain thoughts in my 20s, my 30s, and as you go on, you see life.
High school me is very different than this me.
Well, how often do we say, boy, if I only knew then what I know now?
I say it
constantly.
constantly.
The only reason that statement can be true is because of the progression of life. So evolution is actually education. That's something we got to think about.
Absolutely. Something else we got to think about, the 2016 election. I'm fascinated by it. I've always been fascinated by elections. Maybe I'm a nerd. I don't care. I love it. Plato said something along the lines of, indifference to public affairs is giving a sanction to being ruled by inferior men.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't want to be participating in this, but if I don't, it might be way worse. I got to get involved. Let's talk about the Democrats for a second. You see Hillary, and she is taking arrows. One arrow, they're coming from all sides. I feel like Obama is releasing a steady, somebody somewhere, it's Valerie Jarrett. But it seems like she's getting taken out. I don't know if she's going to survive it, and I'm shocked to see Bernie Sanders rising, packing rooms where Hillary's rooms are empty. I don't know if you saw that picture in Ohio.
So let me break down the numbers. I'm a numbers guy.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders is effectively running in 2 states and polling well. That's it. The Bernie Sanders is a combination of, maybe if you want to call it the anti-Hillary, the disaffected, and a pretty effective progressive socialist and others involved movement. And that includes PSL, Webb. People can look them up, Party for Socialism and Liberation, RevCom, the communist group, other groups, socialist groups that are active out there, the American Socialists and others. So they pack it and they look at it, but his numbers come essentially from 2 states, New Hampshire and Iowa primarily. In national polls,
that's not going to carry national.
Not going to carry a national election. So Bernie Sanders just put him aside. He doesn't. Hillary Clinton, a little bit different. Whether it's Jarrett, self-inflicted, a variety of issues.
Maybe Biden with Obama.
I'm going to bring you a point on that in a minute that's going to get you thinking. I hope it does.
All right.
Hillary's wounds are self-inflicted and otherwise, but they have to play out. She will not leave the race because it's who the Clintons are. Unless she's indicted and put in jail and maybe in jail for a while, she's not going to stop running for president, regardless of how it plays out.
Right.
But we also need to look at the Clinton Foundation donations. There's a deeper scandal in this influence.
96% going to them?
Right. Well, or wherever it goes, or where it comes from matters. So ask yourself this question. Who does Obama want protecting his legacy? Think about that for a moment. If the first woman president from either party wins the election, she overshadows the first black president. Suddenly his legacy is not as clear and outstanding and protected. So Biden, the best likely successor for him, is just another guy in the
boring
presidency.
old white guy.
Doesn't
Just
matter,
like
just
most
a
of the
guy.
rest, yep.
First female president becomes, just like the suffrage movement, women's vote, civil rights. Now you have contention for historical value.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that becomes the zeitgeist of the times. Oh, yeah, they put the half black, half white guy in, and that was a big deal because
Right.
of all the slavery stuff. And then, oh, they put the woman in, and that was great. That's just what they did
Well,
in that time
most of the
between 08
population
and...
is female. Most of the working and effective population in this country is female. There are more women than men. Who's going to stand out more? Who's going to resonate more?
I don't know that it would necessarily be more, but it would
The
cast some of that
numbers shifted.
spotlight right off onto the next achievement of the day.
You want to know why? Emotion. Emotion and politics go together.
Right.
And let's face it, let's be honest, men and women are different. We think a little differently. It's not a slant on either one. We're different.
We're designed different.
And a woman is the caregiver. A woman is the nurturer in our society and in the culture. Therefore, the woman's role carries a bigger weight. Think about that for a second.
Okay. No, it's the part of that really still has me going is who does Obama or
Want.
Valerie Jarrett want continuing his legacy, his failed
Right.
legacy,
Right.
something they can keep pushing? Yeah, this is vice president. Who do you see coming out on the Democratic side? If you had to put a buck down in
I
Vegas
say
right now.
Biden gets in.
Think so?
I say Biden gets in. What Obama built when he took his campaign committee, his national campaign
Right.
structure, and built Organizing for America, was he built a top-down organization that's national. You bring Biden into this, you put Organizing for America behind him, and I gotta tell you, the Republicans should worry. Biden may be a lot of things, Joe Gaff Biden, crazy Uncle Joe, some people call him, but he is likable to the independents.
He's touchy.
He's likable.
He's a real touchy guy.
But he sells, and he's a pro at this.
Yeah.
That makes him a more dangerous competitor in some ways than Hillary. And the Republicans should think about, who do you want to run against?
Yeah, because I can't say that I necessarily want a Republican to win this thing. I've been against the Democratic presidential since I can
But
remember.
right now,
back.
we've got one or the other. And if you think
For now,
about
yeah.
it, both sides have to think, who do you want to run against? And do you want to run against the Hillary Clinton who's flawed, with a lot of issues that you can bring up, and the drip, drip, drip?
Yeah.
If you look at even the court orders and the outflow of information leading up to the primaries next year, more emails, the time period as this flows out, she's flawed. Biden, for all his things, gets a pass.
Biden's just been there.
Yeah.
He's not. Yes, he's weird and touchy and kissy like that. I don't know, dude's weird like that. But
I won't let him give me a shoulder rub. And by the way, let me tell you,
There's anything wrong with it.
my Democrat friends, he's a likable guy. We got to be honest about that. The guy is likable, which means he's saleable. And
Yeah.
a politician's first task, doesn't matter what side you're on,
Salesman.
what you're running for, when you stand up there, do people want to listen to you? After that, you have to deliver. But that's the first thing you have to
yeah,
do.
and that was Obama's thing. Everyone wanted to listen, and then just the more he kept going and the more you could see people just kind of losing
Yeah.
interest in that. So I guess on the Republican side, then the thing everybody wants to see, everybody wants to talk about, it's Trump, Trump, Trump,
Yeah.
Trump. I read his book, Art of the Deal. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was great. Amazing book. I love how Trump uses
You
those.
want the interview with Trump, don't you? No, look.
No, I
here's
mean,
the-
but the Republican side has been Trump and all of the rest.
And the others.
Yeah.
So here's the Republican thing, and I'm not in the horse race game. You know, I do analysis first, and I'll let everybody argue over the polls. Gallup, who's also now out of the primaries as far as polling and others. Trump brings attention. He's what I just said. He stands up there, and you want to watch him, like him, hate him, or otherwise. He's a bigger than
Must-watch
life
TV.
figure. He's bombastic. He's loud. I like the Donald personally. All right, I've met the guy enough times over the years.
Yeah,
Followed
living in New
him,
York.
watched him. He's not a bad guy, and he really believes it. For him, however, where's his ceiling of support? Even if he's at 30, 33%,
Right.
as others drop out, the one percenters,
Are they going to him or are they
where
bouncing
where
to
does
Bush?
it shift and where does it break up? And see, that's the thing. You've got to watch for that, and that's going to play out going into next year.
Now, not being in a horse race necessarily, but based on evaluating what you're seeing, are there a few names you think might be on the chopping block are thinking, man, I got to go like Rick Perry.
Yeah.
It's about time. I'm going to suspend this campaign.
Perry, Walker never came out and made it out of their state. Kasich has a similar. Now, Kasich is a very qualified guy in a lot of ways, but he's got to get out again. Back to that. Can you stand up in front, be the front man on the stage? Rand Paul likely to drop out next. He's raised very little money. He's raised.
I'm really surprised
barely
by that.
$2 million.
Are you surprised at all or no?
Not at all.
For what reason?
Because his father had a different time and a different model when there was disaffection with a lot of things. But now you have Rand Paul, who didn't capture that libertarian fire
The Tea
and
Party,
take it anywhere.
libertarian.
So you just, and the money isn't there. And follow the money in politics, follow the donor. Go to December 15th, the debate in Vegas. Anyone who doesn't make it out of that debate, fundraising numbers come out soon, you get to Vegas, whoever doesn't make it through that, we can't survive the cold political winter.
And is that Sheldon Adelson territory? Is he
Yeah.
picked a horse yet? Is he?
No, he's been very cagey this time.
I haven't
Adelson and Wynn and others. But the bottom line is Vegas is it. December 15th, Christmas comes, people get past their families and gifts and fun. I'm there with them.
And there's 11 months before the election.
Right.
It's going to go cold
And you've got to go to February to the 2 primaries in the caucus. So if you don't make it December 15th, you don't get the money, you're going to be gone out of the election, unless you just hang around for the heck of it. Which
Trying to get a cabinet position or positioning for the next election.
Right, or write a book or get a TV show or something.
You have any thoughts on Mitt Romney possibly jumping in? You keep hearing those rumors like you're hearing
You hear,
from Biden.
look, I know the Romney family to some degree. I can't speak for him.
Right, of course.
I don't know him well enough to speak for that. I have a great respect for Mitt Romney. He's a very good man. Ann's a very good woman. They have a good family. I don't see him doing this. There would have to be such a tragedy politically for him to come back in.
Isn't the anointed next oligarch Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton model of here are pre-selected
I don't think it works this time.
puppets?
Here's why.
Because my mantra has been no more Clinton, no more Bush.
Right,
I just
but
don't want a
here's
Clinton or Bush.
something else.
And he's polling at almost zero. Who's going to swoop in to be the establishment candidate since Jeb didn't do it?
Again, nobody can pick the horse race. Anyone who tells you they know how this plays out now
Run.
is lying to you.
Right.
They're not going to do it. I've written an article about the case for Romney, and I look at it analytically. It would have to be a complete implosion where they would go back and look at him and say, okay, Mitt, and I don't think he does it.
Where is everybody?
See, I'm being interrupted by a liberal, Rick Unger.
Good morning.
What's your name?
Brian Engelman with the New American Media.
Nice to
We're
meet
talking
you.
politics and
Blake
Politicon.
Walley. Yeah, Blake Walley.
All right, man. Good to meet you.
Too.
Well done,
Where's
Mr.
your gang?
I think they're probably just about here. All right, let's wrap up here.
All right.
You good?
Almost.
All right, get out of
What
the
were
way.
you doing here?
We're doing an interview.
Oh, you fucking media whore.
That's why I like the guy. He's a friend. All right, so go ahead. Anyway.
All right, so we probably... Okay, wait. Because if we edit, then we'll edit. All right, so if we can't... Yeah, let's
Nah,
photo
it was pretty
bomb
good. I
my
think we should
ring.
go
I
with
know,
it.
it's going to be what it is.
Go with it, right.
Forget the edit. Hey, Rick, come here real quick.
Actually, come on in here. He was just moderating the
My
debate.
brain's gone.
Well, your brain's going.
Well,
We're
your
talking
brain was gone,
politics.
too.
It's the same
I
thing.
didn't have much of a brain to start with. So.
Your thoughts on the 2016 election? Well, who do you see?
I think we should
coming out
have
of this? You do?
Yeah.
You don't think Obama's going to go for total dominant ruler?
He's one of yours, right?
No.
No?
No.
No, I don't think
He thinks
Obama's
for
going to go
himself.
for it. I did hear he was reading Richard Nixon's diary, however. I'm just saying. You know, so
Nixon
See, this is
compared to
the
him.
Comic-Con
You know?
in politics. The comedy. By the way, don't you love how some congressman, what's the guy in New York, always puts up the bill for the third term and nobody pays attention to him? To my friends on the right, there isn't going to be a third term for Obama.
No,
We
there's
changed presidencies in a world war. We've changed them in a depression. We've changed them in some of the worst economic times.
I promise
One thing
you.
about this country is our system works.
even the most liberal among us would go crazy if anybody ever tried to take a third term.
Well, people have been really freaked out during this administration over a lot of things, a lot of
none
reasons.
of which
That's
ever
none
happened.
of which I...
That is very true.
He was coming for your guns. A lot more guns out there now than there was when he got there.
He's
Now,
the best
hold
gun
it, you
salesman
think-
out there, actually.
That's
Yeah, I
exactly
was
He
going
really
to say,
is.
he's actually good for the gun
He's
industry.
great for the gun business. That's precisely right.
Yeah, flying up to Oregon right after the, oh, it's not politicizing it. Man, he
No, at
just
least
said
he was
you're
honest
not-
about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I like about Bernie Sanders. I wanted to make that point earlier. I forgot to get back to it. At least he's honest. I'm a socialist.
Right.
Thank God, at least you're telling us the
But he's
truth.
not a very good socialist.
No, he's
Is there
not.
such a thing?
He really isn't a very
Well,
good.
yeah, I mean, if
Hold
you're,
it, he
if
could have
you're a
evolved.
socialist, you ought to be good at it, you know. He's not a very good socialist. I don't know why he actually calls himself a socialist, because he's kind of not.
What would you classify it as?
Crazy old man.
Very, well, very progressive, but he's not. If you know what a socialist is, he's not it.
Was
He's not
Obama
it.
close?
No, not even. Not
Obama's
even.
a progressive. I think
At
he,
best,
I
I
think he's a
think
progressive.
in another era, Obama is a Rockefeller Republican. Obama, that was always the funniest part
Hang on.
about this.
Okay, never
Wait,
mind.
he's
We won't
He's
even
not
get it out.
that progressive. I mean, I agree. He's certainly left of center, but
If you look at his record, and look, we can't judge what's in the man's heart or whatever, but you look at his
I
record.
judge what's in his heart based on his actions.
Right, but that's a
Unfair
different
me.
thing.
judge his actions.
Come
Right,
Compared to
no,
JFK.
judge his actions, I agree.
Yeah.
But look at his voting record, look at the things he stood for. He's a politician who's played the system. He is a progressive.
But you said the key word,
Yeah.
and people don't like to acknowledge it. He is a politician.
Yeah, he's a very smart player in the political role. He uses
Oh, you
allies.
don't
wherever-
accidentally become president.
No, you
I
don't.
mean,
No,
that's right.
oh,
you
Bush
don't.
is a dumb. Okay, he's dumb enough to win two terms, but you know,
He's so dumb, he-
great
he
He won,
politician.
he won
Two
twice,
times, right.
yeah.
Yeah, fool me once, fool me twice. All right, we're here at Politicon. Since you jumped in,
No,
introduce
I
yourself.
didn't jump in. You pulled me.
Yeah, I did
He
pull you
He
in.
kinda sauntered
Say
in.
hello to everybody. Tell
Hello,
us about
everybody.
Politicon, what you're doing here, and where they can check out more of your stuff.
Well, you can listen to my radio show, Steele and Unger, on SiriusXM POTUS. You can watch me on TV every night at Newsmax TV on the Daily Wrap, 6 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. And you can read me at Forbes magazine.
Heck yeah.
How's that?
Thank you so much.
I think I'm gonna hire him to sell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can you do my voiceovers? Can you do my little promos?
Absolutely. You got any money?
Independent
Should we,
journalist.
should we tell them my
Money.
favorite saying?
Yeah.
I'm a Republican with my money, a Democrat with yours.
That sounds like Washington. David, tell people what you're up to, where they can find more.
All
of
right,
your
you
stuff.
can
He'll
find
be
me on.
dating a really pretty girl out there that he just, oh, excuse me. That's what
Well,
he's
he's
up
not
to.
wrong.
That's what you're up to.
Hey, he's not. Hey, man. No, Sirius XM Patriot 125, where I have a full-sized audience.
Full size?
Yeah.
What do you mean full size?
Rick Unger will be there with me
I
on
wear
Wednesday
full-size.
nights. No, and he's in serious note. Sirius XM Patriot 125, Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern. You can catch me on Fox News at various times of the week. And I let this guy, Rick Unger, come in on my show every Wednesday night.
And I hate
Sometimes
to say
I
it,
go
but you
on
might
his-
actually learn something from his show.
Yeah. He
Excellent.
doesn't like it, but you'll learn something good.
Cool, David. Thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you.
And nice
Good man.
meeting.